Radyo Katipunan, 87.9 FM.
Radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, 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 Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan. The voice of the Eagle, kami di mapipigil sa pagbabalitang tumpak at tama. Buhay atin sa labas ng eskwela, ating ibibida lahat ng eskwela. Radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, radyo, Katipunan, radyo, Katipunan, Katipunan. Kawal ni Ignacio, Katipunero sugo, todo sa kayod, tunong at tulong. Ipag the Blue Eagle, galing hiding at tigil.
Welcome to The Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
Alright, what is up, Blue Eagle Nation? Thank you again so much for tuning in to us on this Wednesday afternoon, only here at Radyo Katipunan 87.9, the voice of the Blue Eagle. Once again, you're hanging out with me, Anthony, and of course, makasama ko ulit ngayon for our Katipunan Hooptalk crossover from the maroon side to the blue side. It's my basketball buddy, Javi Palaña, who sinusulit na nga niya ngayon yung kanyang NBA League Pass.
Binubuking mo naman ako, bro.
Alright. Pero Javi, again, we're here today to, talk about yung wild series of events. This first round pa lang to of the playoffs. Can you believe it?
It's crazy. It's crazy. The NBA is really back right now, postseason, and everybody's just going nuts about all the series. It's not just, the significant ones like the Clippers, Mavs, or the Blazers, Lakers. Every series is as exciting and as important to us as NBA fans and for the players as well.
And yes, Javi, as you know, with your league pass, we're treated to like I don't know how many games every other day, diba? And we're just parang getting an inside look into the bubble and seeing, whoa, all these things are happening simultaneously, diba? It's so fun.
It's so fun. Like me, may NBA League Pass now. So sobrang sinusulit ko na talaga. Because it's also like what I keep trying to say, parang it gives us a sense of normalcy also because we're so used to watching the NBA playoffs at this time of the year. And for the NBA to come up with this bubble system in Orlando, it really gives us a sense of normalcy and, gives us a distraction to the things happening outside.
All right, so Javi, let's begin our hoop talk for this afternoon. We'll go first to the side of the Eastern Conference, then we'll take a look at yung mga playoff series na for each side, okay? So starting off with number 1 Milwaukee versus number 8 Orlando. Alam mo, Javi, when I was looking at Milwaukee dun sa seeding games, nung pagdating ng restart, I was wondering why were they parang so erratic? Parang Milwaukee wasn't the same dominant number 1 seed we saw. Tapos that carried over dun sa game 1 nila against Orlando because they lost game 1 in a quite of a shocker, di ba?
Yeah, Anthony. Not all teams weren't able to, really have a good start to the seeding games when the NBA came back. And save for maybe Phoenix and Portland, the other teams weren't, especially the top teams like the Lakers and the Bucks, as you said, they weren't really able to, have flashes of their former selves, the one that they had in the regular season before the games were halted. They weren't able to carry it over to the seeding games because maybe factor na rin talaga yung that you were on hold for a few months. You weren't able to do your usual conditioning, your usual team practices, and maybe it affected the play of Milwaukee during the seeding games. And yun nga, carried over to game one where Orlando was just simply guns a-blazing. Ginulat talaga sila nung game one.
Yeah, pero like, don't you think, Javi, because nga this bubble environment is such a unique setting, parang the number one seed, the home court advantage in the playoffs that Milwaukee worked so hard for, wala yun eh. When it comes to the bubble setup, di ba?
Yeah, yun nga yung sinasabi nila that the bubble is the great equalizer, And teams that locked up that supposedly home court advantage weren't able to get it. And the environment is really completely different. You don't have the usual packed stadiums. You don't have, all the fanfare of a playoff environment. And it's really creeping up to some players, because it's all very new to them. And there are different ways of coping with it. Some players, even the marquee names, have a hard time coping with the new environment. But these players are elite players. They play at the highest level. So look to them to adjust accordingly as the postseason progresses.
So of course, Javi, taking a look at this number 1 versus number 8 series, of course we have to talk about our reigning MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, who, by the way, has recently been awarded the 2020 Defensive Player of the Year. Now, Javi, hot take lang tayo dito, no? Is Giannis poised to make history, possibly, to have an MVP DPOY season, joining the likes of rare air to, of course, his airness, Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon?
Yeah, there are other players, actually a lot of players and a lot of fans from all over the world and in social media. They were really mad that Giannis won the Defensive Player of the Year because they really wanted it to go to Anthony Davis. They didn't think that Giannis was up for this award this year. But make no mistake about it, Anthony. I think Giannis is going to win the MVP award very closely over LeBron James this season because his numbers are just simply off the charts, and the way that he was able to lead his team to the number 1 seed this season after also an MVP performance last season is just unprecedented. No, his improvement has really been growing so much. He's been working on his outside shot, which was a knack in his game the past few seasons. So now teams are thinking twice about leaving him on the perimeter, kasi dumadagdag na talaga yung weapon sa arsenal.
Yeah, true, Javi, but I also would just want to point out kay Giannis. They say, in this 2020 playoffs, it's LeBron James who has, a lot riding on the line. Pero I would beg to differ that I think the guy with, whose legacy is on the line right now is Giannis. Because I know he can win the MVP, DPOY, regular season awards. But in the playoffs, parang Giannis still has to prove a lot, diba? Especially after last year that they were, diba, natalo sila ng Toronto. Pero do you think parang this playoffs will sort of expose the Bucks' lack of a clear number 2 sidekick for Giannis, diba?
Yeah, Anthony, it's true that LeBron has also something on the line this postseason. But yeah, you're right, no? Giannis has also a lot on the line here. Kasi yun nga, he has nothing yet to prove in the postseason, unlike LeBron, who has won championships already. Yes, LeBron has this challenge to bring the Lakers to the promised land, but for Giannis, it's different because di pa siya proven eh. So may mga gusto pa siyang patunayan. And that point that you said that he lacked a number 2 star, well, he has that in Chris Middleton, pero Chris Middleton doesn't have that, that superstar level kind of attitude. Kind of a Mamba mentality kind of attitude, if you would put it, because medyo passive si Chris Middleton eh, and he's been averaging just a little under 20 points per game this past few games, and his presence hasn't really been felt. No, he's expected to deliver on both sides of the ball. Pero yung impact niya hindi talaga masyadong ramdam eh. And he has to step that up a notch if the Bucks are gonna go all the way to the championship and get that Larry O'Brien goal.
True, Javi. Well said. But I think that this I mean I don't know how far the Bucks will go sa playoffs now, but I think this will ultimately dictate how far they go. Will ultimately dictate what Giannis's free agency decision will be. Diba? If he goes far with the supporting cast of Middleton, Brook Lopez, Eric Bledsoe, then okay. If he takes them to the finals, fine. He might stay. But if they don't, I think diba, that says a sign to Giannis na hey, maybe Milwaukee isn't the right place for me.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna trigger a lot of inquiries and maybe off-season moves. But for Giannis, no, he said that he was willing to stay and retire in Milwaukee, give them a championship. But as history dictates, no, we've had a lot of players already said this. You have LeBron James, Paul George, and so on and so forth. The list goes on and on.
Yeah.
So it's really we're just really gonna see it as it happens, no? And if Giannis is able to bring his team to the championship, then definitely he will stay. But for Milwaukee to make it all the way, no, I think yung crucial factor talaga dito is yung supporting cast ni Giannis because no doubt about it, he's been delivering night in, night out. But he will only go as far as his supporting cast
Yes.
plays.
Right. And we'll see if that supporting cast will be enough because waiting for them in the semifinals is the number 5 Miami Heat who swept the number 4 seed Indiana Pacers who were just too injured to compete. I mean, nothing to say about that. Pero ito, Javi, I think speaking about the Miami Heat, they have a superstar, Jimmy Butler. They have excellent young shooters in Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, who can go, really, really hot from deep. Pero is this core of Butler plus the young shooters, can they go really, really hot from downtown for 4 games to outlast the Bucks?
Well, experience-wise, Anthony, no, definitely lamang na lamang ang Milwaukee dito. But you have to consider in this series the championship pedigree that the Miami Heat as an organization has, no, and the experience and tutelage that Eric Spoelstra brings to his team. Napagaling niya yung mga very unheralded wings in Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero. These guys have nothing yet to prove, and they've played so well under Eric Spoelstra in their first year. Kahit na undersized sila, they've made the system work. Surrounded Jimmy Butler with pieces to make it a ragtag team talaga. And I believe they have what it takes to go against this Milwaukee Bucks team. No, they may be able to push Milwaukee to maybe 6 games, but of course, I still hold the Bucks as winners in this incoming series.
Although having my wild card here is, I think the Heat, they have a guy who can physically match up with Giannis, and that's Bam Adebayo, who is my candidate for most improved player of the year. I mean, if he can play good defense against Giannis, they might win some games, right?
Yeah, and Bam Adebayo's ability to be physical on the defensive end is a big factor because we can remember that during the seeding games, Giannis was noticeably losing a little bit of his temper. I think this was against Washington. He headbutted, I think this was Wagner or someone. Basta if the Miami Heat with Bam Adebayo on their side can go under the skin of Giannis Antetokounmpo, then that will be a big factor because Giannis batang-bata pa, not so much experience, not so much accomplishments yet in the postseason. So this will be an acid test for him, no? Going if he's gonna make it all the way to the finals.
Right. All right, Tavi. So we'll go now to the other semifinal bracket. We have number 2 Toronto Raptors versus the number 3 seed, the Boston Celtics. Javi, this for me is championship experience versus wing talent. I mean, Boston, no legit big man, that's their issue. But hey, they swept the team with the best big man in the East, Philadelphia. Diba?
Brad Stevens is really a genius, no? He really makes do with the pieces he has. And that system kasi talaga, very made talaga yan for the pieces that he has yung mga wings talaga, and I think Kemba Walker was really a very important piece of the puzzle in terms of the Boston Celtics, no. Same play almost with Kyrie Irving, but yung I think I heard it from TNT or maybe ABC during the past coverages of their games, no. The temperament or the attitude of Kemba may be the difference in making it fit with the Boston Celtics, no? Kasi iba yung ugali nila ni Kyrie, and Kemba's more of a guy who can really be humble enough to let Jason Tatum and let Jaylen Brown run the show while ika nga siya daw yung gatekeeper nitong Boston Celtics, no? He's just running the show and then making Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum take it when it matters the most.
True. And I think si Kemba Walker kasi is more of a, I mean, Kyrie's more of a wild card, but Kemba Walker is more of a controlled player, diba? More disciplined type of player.
Yes. And it's really worked for them, no, in this past series na they've swept the Philadelphia 76ers. It's been Kemba has had won a playoff series in his entire career and has won more playoff games with the Boston Celtics than he did in 8 years in Charlotte. So that speaks a lot about the Boston Celtics system and the fit of Kemba into Boston.
Right. Pero Javi, let's just go into a segue of the team that Boston swept in the first round. This team was, for me, if they were healthy, they could have challenged Milwaukee for the top seed in the East. But again, Javi, for many reasons, I think the process, I mean, that whole tanking for picks and everything, it was just mistake after mistake by the front office, especially Elton Brand. Diba, giving what, Al Horford $100 million, Tobias Harris a max deal. That ultimately ruined this whole process experiment, no?
Yes, and Coach Brett Brown was quoted saying that the reason why he wasn't able to make it work, he signified that it was a spatial problem, no? And he wasn't really able to have Al Horford play into a system that was complementary to Joel Embiid's dominance on the inside, no? And he wasn't able to make it work with the wings that he had, and hindi talaga nag-work, and it was really a mistake for them to go for Al Horford when they already had Jimmy Butler, who was a very closer type of a player. JJ Redick, no? Very complementary to Joel Embiid, yung mga pick and roll situations sila and handoff situations. Wala na yun this season, no? You had Josh Richardson, but he's just not the same knockdown shooter as JJ Redick, and that really caused a lot of spatial problems, sabi ni Brett Brown, dito sa Philadelphia. And ito pang loss ni Ben Simmons really compounded or even tripled their woes during this season.
Right, and for me, Javi, it wasn't Brett Brown that was the problem. I think it's on GM Elton Brand. Because Brett Brown, he was willing to adjust. Sabi niya, okay, I'll put Ben Simmons at the power forward slot. Diba? I'll see what I can do with the lineup. But I think ultimately this is on Elton Brand, diba? For just assembling a team that Brett Brown he can't make it work talaga. Whatever he can, diba? Whatever his talent is, he just can't make it fit.
I agree, Anthony, no? Kasi ultimately it's the front office that makes the decisions, and Brett Brown just gonna have to make do with the lineup that the GM gives him, and this was what fell on his lap. He had Al Horford instead of Jimmy Butler, and then it just couldn't work for them. And then you had Ben Simmons coming out of injury. It just didn't work for them. It backfired yung gamble nila. And to think that Al Horford is already nearing the twilight of his career, and for them to invest that much money into a contract, it was really a big mistake. No?
Right. Eto na, Javi, so looking ahead for Philadelphia, we know that championships in the league, you win with at least two superstars on the team. One guy isn't enough. Pero now, Joel Embiid wants out. Ano pwede gawin ng Philadelphia? Because you have to maintain that duo, Simmons and Embiid. That's elite. Pero parang right now, I don't know, are they headed for another rebuild?
That really depends on the front office, Anthony. The decision-making of Elton Brand has been really suspect this past few seasons. So he'll have to really do a better job manning the front office. No, he said naman talaga that he wanted to keep Embiid and Simmons, that he wants to maximize their tandem before exploring any trade options. But that will be hard considering their performance this season. No, I'm sure Embiid will have other offers from other teams, the big man and the talent that he is. But ultimately, the fate of the Philadelphia Sixers will fall on GM Elton Brand for this coming season.
Right. So, well, to Philly fans out there, good luck na lang sa inyo. It's gonna be a rough off season for Philadelphia. Pero speaking of great front office and great decision making, Javi, who would have thought that the Toronto Raptors, after Kawhi Leonard leaves them in the offseason, they are back in the mix. And dare I say it, Toronto is a dark horse to return to the finals.
I so agree, Anthony. I think if you have a dark horse in the West and a dark horse in the East, the ultimate dark horse in the whole league going into the championship is definitely the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah.
And I mean, losing your finals MVP when you won the championship and still being able to duplicate your number 2 seeding in the East this season is just incredible. And that speaks a lot about the talent and the tutelage of Coach of the Year, Nick Nurse, in steering the Toronto Raptors to an even better team play this season. No? Grabe yung emergence ni Fred VanVleet. He really stepped up his game. Pascal Siakam really improved in all facets of his offense. And then you have OG Anunoby coming back, which really complemented already what elite defense the Raptors had.
Right, and I just wanna key in on what you said, because I've been trying to watch some analysis videos sa YouTube of how Nick Nurse creates this very fluid defense. So it goes from a 2-free zone, tapos biglang, depending on the situation, it morphs into man-to-man. Tapos basta at the center of that defense is always Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby, and parang Nick Nurse just knows how to make it click. That defense is parang elite pa rin talaga eh.
Yeah, and it really works for them, no? Kasi very tailor-made to for teams in the NBA, because a lot of teams like to play outside right now, and for you to be starting in a 2-3 zone, no, you have Pascal or OG in the middle, and then you have this very committed wings in the sides to go after the shooters, scrambling after the shooters, and yung discipline talaga na in-instill ni Nick Nurse sa kanila, it's really helpful to them in going against opponents who like to shoot from the outside, those who like to generate points a lot. Talagang discipline lang talaga, Anthony. It's just that. There's no secret to it. You know, you can have the most gimmicky kind of defense, but if you don't have the defense, if you don't have the commitment to do it, it won't happen.
And I think Toronto is really set up well into the future. Imagine this: Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. Then you have an emerging Fred VanVleet. I mean, that's a pretty good core in the East.
Yeah, and Nick Nurse was quoted in an interview, saying that the loss of Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers, they just saw it as an opportunity for the other guys. And wow, that's a sign of a very classy organization, that gives chances to the other players to step up, especially after a championship season. You don't really see that a lot.
Yeah. No championship hangover whatsoever, diba? It's back to business for Toronto.
Yes.
And well, okay, the Palaña prediction for the number 2 versus number 3 matchup, Raptors and Celtics. Shoot, Javi.
This is going to be tough. I think it's going to go 6 or 7 games, but I'm going to have to go with Toronto here just because of their size. They really have that advantage. Boston doesn't have a big man. They have Daniel Tice starting at center, and Enes Kanter coming off the bench, and Grant Williams minsan manning the point against them. But the sheer size of Toronto, and their bigs are mobile and can pass. Marc Gasol is really a very able playmaker, and Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby can neutralize or limit Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So it's really going to be a toss-up in the end, but I think Toronto will come out on top.
Right, and I think yun nga, Javi, that championship metal that Toronto has, will ultimately be their edge against the Celtics.
Yes, Anthony, you cannot deny the heart of a champion.
True. No matter how cliche that sounds. Okay, so Javi, going naman tayo to the Western Conference matchups. Number 1, Los Angeles Lakers versus number 8, Portland Trail Blazers. Javi, I know the Lakers are leading 3-1, pero they're just right now taking advantage of I call them the walking wounded Blazers. They're just so injured, so just hurting right now. And not only that, the Blazers have been through a lot physically, I know, but emotionally as well. Nurkic, di ba, he had to suffer through the loss of his grandmother,
Yes.
played the next day, and then now Dame Lillard, he's gone for game 5 with a sprained knee. Pero game 3 he dislocates his finger, and then you have CJ McCollum playing with a fractured back. I mean, it just Blazers. I really rooted for them in game 1, pero this is just not a good look for them right now.
Yeah, Anthony, I think I don't think anybody would say that the Blazers would come out of this series as victorious, no, because you're going up against the number 1 Los Angeles Lakers, and they obviously have more talent and more size. They have rested bodies compared to the very injured Portland Trail Blazers, and they lack a very able defender to LeBron James and Trevor Ariza, who opted out of the bubble. So it was just really a matter of time, for Los Angeles to get their groove back, after that horrific first game where they really shot so much bricks.
No.
And I think talaga, the law of averages catching up with Portland, because they went to that grueling eight seeding games, where
Yeah.
they had to play day in day out for a chance to even make the playoffs and actually play in pa lang, diba? They had to play in with Memphis, and it emotionally, physically, mentally, that's super super tiring. And for you to go up against a very talented team like Los Angeles, it's gonna be a miraculous feat, and ika nga ni Miko Halili, it's gonna take a miracle of biblical proportions for you to be able to conquer Los Angeles Lakers.
Tama, no. Pero Javi, of course, LA, they're not, free from any internal issues, because I think you mentioned this parang in one of your posts, no? Parang you were kind of questioning the rotations by Frank Vogel. I know he's got some scorers off the bench, pero parang, is it because, okay, the Lakers, they're lacking playmaking depth because they don't have an Avery Bradley, they don't have a true point guard, but I mean, how is Frank Vogel trying to parang test different combinations out there?
Yeah, I'd really love to pick Frank Vogel's mind, talk to him and ask him about his rotation pattern, because it really puzzles me that you sign Dion Waiters, you sign a J.R. Smith, and you don't play them in crucial parts of the game, or play them when you have to, and instead go with an Alex Caruso. I know that Alex Caruso has been around enough, more than Dion and JR on the team, but you cannot deny the wealth of experience that Dion Waiters and even J.R. Smith, the championship experience that he has, and that they can contribute to this Lakers team. No,
Yeah.
Alex Caruso definitely a big ball of energy for LA, but it's also a given that for you to have Dion Waiters, give him some court time, give him some time to be around the team, to build that chemistry with the other players. But when it comes to the farther parts of the postseason, set ka na kay Dion Waiters.
Yeah.
This guy, can deliver. He can score baskets. He can play make for you. You just have to give him time. And the same with J.R. Smith. For him to find his range, you have to give him court time. If you're just going to sit him on the bench, it's not going to happen for you, diba? You just have to try. You just have to try.
And the funny thing about it is, Happy, you have Dion Waiters, you have a J.R. Smith. Okay, both of them pretty decent shooters. But Mr. How Many More on the back of his jersey, aka Danny Green, has been tossing brick after brick after brick, and you still don't play J.R. Smith. Diba? Like, what do you do about it?
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That's why I really wanna pick Frank Vogel's head about it. And why I know, as a shooter, I know as a coach that you have to trust your shooters, even if they miss a lot, that you have just to remind them and just encourage them to keep shooting and shooting. But Anthony, this is the playoffs, and I don't know how Frank Vogel's mentality is towards how Danny Green is doing, but you have to, habang maaga pa, you have to try different players on your bench, especially established players already who can deliver for you. And Danny Green just really has to find his stroke. Pero if not, try ka naman ng iba, di ba?
Yes.
How many more
Exactly.
misses will he have to miss for you to realize that?
Yep. Which again puts more burden on the shoulders of guys like Kyle Kuzma. He needs to score and step up, diba? I mean, uh, when your designated shooters are firing blanks, and then diba, nag-effect, parang it trickles down to the other guys na rin eh.
Yeah, that's true. And even for a team that's bannered by superstars like LeBron and AD, no, for them to get that Larry O'Brien trophy, they have to perform as a whole, as a unit, no? Walang pwedeng butaw. Kasi you're going against elite competition, especially in the Milwaukee Bucks if they're the ones going to come out of the East, or the Toronto Raptors. So you have to perfect your form right now palang while you're in the West, no? Moving forward.
Right. Pero Javi, again, I think in this series, parang it's wrapped up. I mean, we have to say goodbye to Dame and the Blazers. Pero what a run for the Blazers! Just
Oh yeah.
diba, the roller coaster of emotions. And for me, it's so refreshing. Parang as a fan, I see Dame Lillard. Diba parang yung mga guys like Shaq, diba, often their comment would be, "Oh, this is such a cupcake generation of players." Ganun. Pero if you want a guy who's the realest OG, it's Dame Lillard. Di ba parang Pat Beverly, Paul George talking smack at him. Anong sagot niya? 61. Di ba? I mean, that's Dame eh. And I'm sorry to see him go. Sayang.
It was such an amazing run for them, but that's how it is. No, you just call it as it is. The law of averages just really crept up to them. Injuries, him injuring his finger in previous 2 games, and then now his right knee. Yeah, it's gonna be a good buy for them, but definitely a valiant stand for the Portland Trail Blazers this season.
Yes, for sure, Javi. Pero segue lang. Okay, Blazers made the 8th seed. But, what if the 8-0 bubble Suns squeaked into the playoffs instead? Would they have given LA a bigger challenge?
Oh, Anthony, I was super rooting for the Suns to make the 8th seed, but make no question about it. Portland definitely did have the lineup to challenge the Los Angeles Lakers. The Suns just simply don't have that personnel yet. Maybe they're short of a few pieces on the wings and up front, and maybe a more veteran point guard or better backup to Ricky Rubio in the backcourt. But wala eh, ganun talaga. The Portland Trail Blazers was a better match for the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't think the Phoenix Suns would have challenged or even won a game against the Lakers if they were the ones to advance in the first round.
Right. Pero Javi, Phoenix, another feel-good story for us fans watching them. I mean, diba, from a team who's been so mediocre, like for the past, 5 years or something, and then you put in a guy like, okay, if Nick Nurse is my coach of the year in the East, Monty Williams is my coach of the year in the West. Diba? I mean, he gave the Suns parang some direction naman. Diba? Okay, we're headed somewhere. Diba? Our young guys finally, they're playing for something more.
Yeah, and he totally changed the mentality of how his team was, being just a cellar dweller in the West. No, these guys went far seasons back with Steve Nash, Amari Stoudemire leading the way. They even made the Western Conference Finals, was just a few wins short of making the NBA Finals, and for them, really dipped down in performance this past few seasons, and.
Right.
Now emerging as a feel-good story for us and going 8-0 in the bubble. It's really nice to watch, and definitely better things to come. So this offseason will be vital for them as they add pieces to surround Devin Booker for them to rack up more wins and hopefully get better seeding next season.
So Dame ultimately won the Bubble MVP award. Pero my number 2 for that was Devin Booker.
Oh yeah,
that Bubble MVP. Pero just by watching him, what changed in Devin Booker's game? Like going into the bubble, parang he became more than a scorer. Kasi diba, Devin Booker has always been good stats, bad teams.
Yes.
Pero here, parang he played different. He moved different.
Yeah, I think he learned that it wasn't all about just him scoring the basketball. He knew that he had very able teammates around him this season. The Phoenix front office surrounded him with better pieces compared to past seasons. And he knew that he had teammates that he could pass the ball to, every game for sure, that he had double teams going to be attracted to him. And he just knew when to pass it at the right time, and his teammates were able to deliver. And especially now that he has Ricky Rubio, a veteran point guard who's able to talk to him, and Coach Monty Williams, really changed the attitude and the outlook of their team into the season. And definitely, kinausap niya na masinsinan niyang star player niya na, hey, it's not just all about you. There's no I in team.
Yeah, right. And he took it to heart. I mean, Devin Booker was lights out the whole of the seeding games. But Javi, I think the biggest challenge facing the Phoenix Suns, especially Devin Booker, heading into next season. Alam natin, they want to continue that 8-0 streak, build on it, diba, coming into next season. But Devin Booker, I hope, some way or somehow he takes a listen to us. Kasi Devin Booker, my advice for you is please avoid the Kardashian curse. Stop dating Kendall Jenner and focus on basketball, because Kendall Jenner will ruin your career just like Blake Griffin.
Yeah, that's so right. I was just about to mention that. After Blake Griffin dated Kendall Jenner, that's when the injuries started to happen. And that's where it went all downhill for them. So please, Debo, please.
Stop. I mean, it hasn't... Chris Humphries pa lang, Javi. Pinatay na ni Kim Kardashian. Kendall Jenner is the kryptonite. Yun yung Kardashian kryptonite eh.
She is the forbidden fruit of the NBA.
Jordan Clarkson tried it. No. Sino ba? Ben Simmons tried it. No. Tama na, Devin Booker.
Tama na. Please. Maawa ka.
Okay. So, Phoenix is done. Pero, Javi, number 4 Houston Rockets versus number 5 Oklahoma City Thunder. Chris Paul's revenge tour against James Harden. Javi, the Thunder just don't quit. They just don't. No one expected them to make the playoffs. They tied the series up. What's going for Oklahoma?
Billy Donovan is just a very resilient coach. And Chris Paul, it's in his DNA. He just doesn't quit. He is the point god. He is clutch. And, he just doesn't want to give up this series so easily just because he's an OKC and he's up against a supposedly better team. But Chris Paul has just been, taking his team on his back, taking the young guns under his tutelage. You have SGA, you have Dennis Schroeder, and you have very able veterans in Danilo Gallinari and Steven Adams, who are just leading the way for this OKC Thunder team against Houston, who lacks Russell Westbrook. They've been really tiring James Harden out, and it has been evident in the end game this past 2 games na itong wins ng OKC. James Harden is almost the highest player with the highest usage rate in the NBA. So without Russell Westbrook, his scoring partner, mapapagod talaga siya ng Wild sa dulo because the OKC Thunder are a very good defensive team. Billy Donovan's a very defensive coach, and he just is really using whatever weapons he has. Lou Dort has been doing a very impressive job on James Harden. He has limited James Harden to around 0.45 points per game when he's guarding James Harden, and against other opponents that's around 1.5 or 1.6. And it's really been working wonders for them.
Like you mentioned Luguentz Dort, no, Javi? This guy is a PBA height wing. He's around 6'3", 6'4". But I mean, he's guarding James Harden. Parang the thing with James Harden, you cannot limit him to like 5 points in a game. No, that's impossible. Pero if you make him take more tougher shots than the easy step backs that he does, the Euro steps that he does, pahirapan mo lang siya for stretches, that's gonna make Houston miss so many more shots. How many attempts did they have from 3-point land like the other day? 50 plus? I mean... 50
plus. They've broken the record for most 3-point shots attempted in a playoff game at like 56, and I'm sure that record's gonna be broken even as they progress if they're gonna advance to the next round.
Right. So ito, Javi, that lineup of Chris Paul, Shai Gilgeous, Dennis Schroeder, Luguentz Dort, can the OKC Thunder out small ball the micro ball Rockets?
Well, if OKC is really gonna be physical enough with the Houston Rockets, that's gonna cause them to miss a lot of shots in the end game because the Houston Rockets live and die by the three. Even if ayaw nila aminin, they live and die by the three. And the OKC Thunder are doing a good job of being physical with the Houston Rockets shooters. Itong past 2 games, in the end game, they've missed around almost half or more of their shot from the outside in the fourth quarter and in overtime in previous game. Even if they start hot, it's not going to be sustainable in the end game if your defense is very physical to you. You know, bagging bodies, no matter how talented you are, no, even if James Harden scores 35 first 3 quarters and through the middle of the fourth quarter, kung pagod na siya sa dulo, it's not gonna work.
Yeah. Pero Javi, okay, they're leveled now, 2 games apiece. To whom will the tide turn? OKC or Houston?
If Russell Westbrook doesn't come back, it's still gonna be a toss-up for me. No, Billy Donovan and his team, no, parang itong 2 wins nila gave them enough confidence to realize na, hey, kaya pala natin makipag-match up. And they've already figured out yung lineup na pwede nila gamitin in the end game. No? In the end game of the previous game, he switched Steven Adams for Lou Dort and Danilo Gallinari. So it was Gallinari playing the 5 and Lou Dort at the 4 together with their 3-point guards. It just worked for them in the end. And maybe if the OKC Thunder continues to play this kind of defense, maybe they can out-small ball the small ball Houston Rockets.
That would be very interesting to see now, Javi. Okay, so moving on to the number 3, Denver Nuggets versus number 6, Utah Jazz. Okay, so Javi, I know the Nuggets, they cut the series lead kanina to 3-2. I mean, Jamal Murray had an excellent game, 42, 8 and 8. Nikola Jokic, 31, 6 and 4. Pero parang the Nuggets, they're just trying to survive another explosion of Spida Mitchell. Because I mean, like when you look at this series, parang ultimately nakikita mo dito, it's the team who has the brightest superstar. They can tilt the series into their favor, diba?
Yeah, just like a post I shared on Facebook a couple of days back. No, it was saying that the Denver Nuggets are not really gonna make it over the hump if they don't have that it guy. And maybe by it guy they meant that some guy with that kind of superstar level of attitude. And by superstar level of attitude, I mean Mamba mentality, closer. You know, the one who can really lead them, not just offensively, defensively, but also emotionally. No, yung one that can really shift the tide to their favor just by their sheer attitude and just by rubbing it off on their teammates, yung energy nila. And Denver just has trouble finding this. But itong previous games, Jamal Murray has shown flashes of it. But he'll have to step it up a notch in terms of his leadership abilities. Definitely, no doubt about it. He can score the basketball. He can pass the ball. He can make plays. Nikola Jokic, the same thing. But they will really have to step up their leadership abilities if they want to overcome this wild tide of Utah Jazz offense.
Yeah.
They're just really clicking on all cylinders right now. Donovan Mitchell is just crazy, and Jordan Clarkson has been averaging close to 20 points per ball game this series. It's crazy because they don't have Bojan Bogdanovic on board, but they're really letting it fly from 3. And Bogdanovic was their best player from the perimeter this past season.
And parang it kind of helped in that Mike Conley wasn't there, no? Parang kasi Mike Conley was, I know he just stagnated with Utah. Tapos now he's not in the lineup, and okay, Donovan Mitchell scoring 57, and then he scores 51 the next game. So it was more boom for them na wala si Mike Conley doon.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see that okay, diba, wala si Mike Conley. They let Mitchell run the point a lot. And now that Mike Conley's back, he's supposedly the de facto point guard for the Jazz, but it's still Mitchell running the show, and Mike Conley's kind of being the 2 guard right now. No, he's the one going off ball, and it's really Mitchell ultimately making the decision for the Jazz, and it's been working wonders for them. So I don't think Quinn Snyder is going to fix something that's not broken.
Right. So I think we both agree on this. Utah upsetting Denver.
Yes, definitely they have emotional advantage. Not just on the offensive side and defensive side, but really the emotional factor is the advantage for the Jazz in this series.
Okay. So Javi, moving on to our last, and I think the series that we talked about this kanina, no? The series that everyone is focused on. Number 2 LA Clippers versus number 7 Dallas Mavericks. Okay, so Clippers kanina, they took the series lead 3-2 by a 154 to 111 win. I think the son-in-law, Paul George, that's a nickname for him. The son-in-law finally had a breakout game, much needed breakout game. 35, 3 and 2. And then Kawhi 42, 7 and 4. Of course, they took advantage of Kristaps Porzingis not being able to play, no? Pero, Javi, I'm still, like with many people out there, I'm still not over the legend of Luka Doncic. Just we're seeing, I think, diba, the much ballyhooed future face of the NBA is Zion Williamson, but I beg to differ. I think it's Luka Doncic.
Well, Anthony, definitely, because Zion didn't make it to the playoffs, and Luka's here breaking, shattering records, though, and just that buzzer beater game winner last game, and his 43-point triple double was just crazy, and it's going to be talked about for generations to come. And I don't think Zion Williamson can overcome that kind of feat with the New Orleans Pelicans. Luka is just definitely a born leader. He's been playing professional ball since he was 15. He was the best player in Europe when he was 16, 17, 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
So this thing aren't new to him. The emotions that he's feeling is not new to him. He's just trying to adjust to the NBA level type of postseason, but definitely this is nothing new to him.
Right.
And for Luka to be playing this way, he can really carry his team without Kristaps Porzingis, but definitely it will be a hard time for them overcoming. Kasi ang parang situation ng series ngayon, yung kontrabida yung LA Clippers.
Yes.
Because we all want the Dallas Mavericks to win,
Yes.
because they have Luka Doncic. But sad to say, NBA fans, I don't think it's gonna happen. Not if Kristaps Porzingis will make it back to the lineup, because LA Clippers are just too stacked of a team. Their bench is just crazy. Landry Shamet was playing super well kanina. Reggie Jackson has found his stroke as well. Paul George, who scored more points today than he scored combined in games 2, 3, and 4.
Uh-huh.
If he's gonna continue to find his range in the next game, it's gonna be a bye for the Dallas Mavericks.
Right. And of course, it's just one game na lang before they're booted out of the playoffs, no? But kanina we were also talking about the physical tone that this series has taken upon. And it's so reminiscent of the 90s. No, I mean when teams were just being physical. I mean, okay, Tim Hardaway, hard playoff foul against Paul George. Inawat pa nga si Paul George. Muntik na niyan sagurin si Tim Hardaway. And then you have on the other end Marcus Morris, accidentally daw stepping on Luka's ankle. Natanggal pa nga yung sapatos. But you can tell these teams don't like each other. Diba? After what's happened in game 1, the horrendous call, you can tell there's bad blood between the two.
Oh yeah, definitely, no question about that. I think before naman wala naman silang past issues or bad blood, but this is the playoffs, and the Clippers are very much celebrated, more experienced team, and they know that they can use their physicality to get under the skin of this very young Dallas Mavericks team. And they have done just that. They've triggered a lot of technical fouls. But this Dallas Mavs team won't just go down without a fight. Lumalaban talaga sila. And barring their injuries, they could have had the chance to take this game to 7 games. But with Kristaps Porzingis not going to be in the lineup for next game, if he's not going to play, I think it's going to be a victory for the Clippers.
Right. But Happy, here's a good possible what if scenario. What if, okay, Luka Doncic becomes, an all-world type of, he is all-world, pero what if his talents carry the Dallas Mavericks to a game 7 against the Clippers, and by some stroke of magic or whatever, the legend of Luka Doncic just overcomes the LA Clippers? Like, where would you sort of rank him already sa Hall of Famers natin?
oh, he's definitely gonna make it the Hall of Fame. Not even if he doesn't, even if he doesn't carry his team to a seventh game, he's definitely gonna make the Hall of Fame. With the trajectory that his career is tracing right now, the improvement level is just crazy every year. Imagine for a Rookie of the Year to be nominated for Most Improved Player the following year. That doesn't happen. Rick Carlisle said that doesn't happen, and he's already finished in I think the top 10 in the MVP candidates this year. For sure, next year he's gonna have a better crack at it, and he's just gonna get better and better. He just has to improve his free throw shooting, better decision making. He really has to take care of the ball because he has he's a performer kasi, so he has a call for theatrics talaga. So he really has to be more mature about his decisions in the basketball. But definitely, this guy is just 21 years old. He's gonna learn much more in his time in the league, and we're gonna be treated to a Luka legend show in the next 10, 15, 20 years.
For sure, Javi. And I just wanna review that. Game 4. So before game 4, Montrezl Harrell calls you a BITCH. We're on air. BITCH ass white boy, and then okay, you sprain your ankle. Yeah, you're bad in game 3. Diba? He was missing free throws in game 3, and then the timeout before you hit this miraculous shot, he's flipping bottles lang on the bench, Javi. He's just playing with his water bottle. He's like, okay, yeah, sure. And then, okay, Reggie Jackson's on me. Pull back, step through, and then, wala, just the audacity, just the balls in the guts. 21 to do that. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, like I said, he's been going through this ever since he was 15 years old in the EuroLeague and then Eurobasket. So nothing new to him na talaga to. He knows what it takes. He knows the emotions going through, and he knows na kaya niya mag-deliver in situations like this. So it's really nothing to him.
Right, Javi. And okay, I just became like a super Luka Doncic fan right now just because of that game, no. But I mean, not that Hall of Famers are different breed, pero not all Hall of Famers have this clutch gene present in them. Even LeBron James did not have a clutch gene at 21. Diba? He was known for his playoff failures. But when you talk about, okay, Larry Bird, Reggie Miller, Michael Jordan, Ray Allen, these guys are clutch, and Luka is made of the same cloth.
Yeah, if you go through this ever since you were 15, yung maturity level mo compared to the other players is super different talaga because you'll have gone through more experiences compared to your co-players. And when you're in the limelight, when you're just 21 years old in the NBA, it's nothing new to you anymore because you've been going through the same motions, the same things ever since you were 15 years old.
Right. And Javi, I think this is where we disagree. You say LA Clippers, but I want the Dallas Mavericks. I know may hirapan sila, but I want them to, at least take it to a game 7. Man lang. Yun lang. I'm happy with that.
Well, if by some stroke of luck that Luka is able to carry them to a game 7, then maybe it can be a toss-up. But if the Clippers look to advance to the next round, they'll have to take care of things in game 6. Kasi magkakaroon pa ng delikadong sitwasyon if they take it to a game 7.
Right. And okay, Javi, wait and see tayo doon. That's gonna be another very, very exciting matchup to look forward to. And I think that wraps up our playoff breakdown for the entire first round. Javi, once again, thank you so much for joining us over here on the blue side of things across the Katipunan. Javi, I know you have a podcast with your buddies over at the maroon side of Katipunan. So,
yes, that's true.
Sige nga, i-plug mo para makinig rin sila sa bagong podcast ninyo.
Oh yeah, to all our listeners out there, we have a podcast we just started last week. It's called Standing Room Only PH. I'm here with Juanito Gregorio, Mix Peralta, and Luis Boot. We're all from UP Diliman. Juanito is a former coach, and Luis and Migs are very avid UAAP basketball fans. We'll be having our third episode on Sunday featuring Jello Vito, Jared Lim, and Diego Dario. The theme of our of this coming episode is life after the UAAP.
Okay,
So,
nice.
tune in.
Interesting. Okay, once again, Javi, thank you again for our Katipunan Hooptalk crossover this afternoon. Stay safe, stay home. Peace. We'll see next time if yung mga playoff predictions natin will indeed come true. Okay?
Thank you so much, Anthony. I'm glad to be here.
All right, peace, and thank you again to all our listeners on Radyo Katipunan 87.9. Till then, everyone, see you next time. Stay safe. Peace out. We're out. Goodbye, Avi. Thank you.
Bye.
Welcome to the Rundown, where we take you right into the action with the latest sports news, updates, game previews, breakdown, and analysis in, around, across, and beyond the Ateneo. And now, let's get ready to run down!
He does the game.